morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Mrs. Navida Sheikh from MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. We will be learning a very interesting chapter from your Science 2 textbook, that is animal classification. Now, this is the first part, and as the name suggests, animal classification. You have already learned about classification in your previous standards. Okay, so I hope that you have a basic concept about what is the meaning of classification. And today we'll be talking in detail about animal classification. In your ninth standard, you have learned about classification of plants. Today in 10th, we'll be learning about animal classification. Now, in this chapter, we have to learn about many types of animals, many unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms, how are different insects, birds. We'll be learning about everything in this chapter. So, it is a very interesting chapter if you pay attention, and this is the first part. So, there are a few terms that we will be learning. Those are very important for us to understand the entire chapter. Okay, that terms will be coming again and again, so you have to pay attention to all those things. So let's get started and learn something new and interesting from your science book. Classification of living organisms. The very first thing that comes to our mind when we say classification is you have to distinguish between the animals which are given to you. किस तरीके से हम लोग उसे क्लासिफाई करेंगे, उनके क्या डिफरेंसेस है, क्या क्राइटेरियाज है, उस हिसाब से हम लोग क्लासिफिकेशन करते हैं. You have seen a very simple example in your classroom also. When you are sitting together, there are girls and boys together sitting. Okay, if I tell you to group yourself into two parts, so what will you do? You will have a group of girls and a group of boys. So on basis of your gender, you have classified the classroom into two parts, first females and males, right? उसके बाद भी हम लोग अदर और भी चीज़ों से हम लोग एक दूसरे को differentiate कर सकते हैं based on your height, based on your size. Okay, so that is the way of classification. So let's see. The formation of groups and subgroups of animals depending upon similarities and differences among animals is called as animal classification. ठीक है, so कुछ groups होंगे जिसके अंदर similarities है, जैसे कि cats है. There are very many types of cat that are there, from lion, tigers, the normal cat that is there in the house, on the streets. Those are having similarities, some similar features that they have, and that is the reason they come under that category. ठीक है, birds है, उनके पास wings है, वो उनकी एक अलग category है, right? So that is there are certain similarities and differences between the animals, and that helps us to classify them. ठीक है, sort करने में उनकी मदद करते हैं हमारे वो उनकी differences और similarities. Estimated number of animal species on earth is approximately 7 millions. So there are many animals that are there, animal species that are there. Okay, and it is approximately, not exactly, approximately 7 million species on earth. Up till now, we have learnt about organism being divided as prokaryotic, that is unicellular, and eukaryotics. And in the eukaryotics, you have unicellular and multicellular both. Under unicellular, you have protista. Under multicellular, you have with cell wall and without cell wall. With cell wall, they do not perform photosynthesis, that come under fungi. Fungus are coming under that. Then the ones which are able to perform photosynthesis are plantae. Okay, with cell wall हम लोग ने 8th standard में पढ़ चुके हैं कि cell wall किसे होती है, plants को होती है. ठीक है, तो plants come under this. Then you have without cell wall, that is animalia. Okay, so today we'll be talking about animalia group and subgroups of that. Classification of plants also we have learned in 9th standard, so a quick revision of that. Do not have differentiated body parts, that are thallophyta. Then you have having differentiated body parts that have vascular tissues with or without vascular tissues, that are bryophyta, pteridophyta. Okay. Now again you have further, they are classified as gymnosperms, angiosperms. Angiosperms have two, they bear covered seeds. Gymnosperms are naked seeds. And then you have under angiosperm you have two types of plants, that are monocots and dicots. Okay, so up till this you have learned in your ninth standard, so I don't think we'll go in detail about this. That is, let us understand about a few benefits of animal classification. We need to understand why animal classification is important to us. Why are we studying this? क्यों हम लोगों को ये पढ़ना ज़रूरी है? First, the study of animals become convenient. हम लोगों को अगर किसी भी animals के बारे में further study करना है तो वो conveniently हम लोग उस वही group को उठाकर उसके बारे में पढ़ सकते हैं, right? Study of few animals from a group helps to understand about that entire animal group. अगर हम लोग few animals को ही लेते हैं, वो group को, वो एक particular group है, अगर हम लोग उसे लेते हैं, like say example हम देखेंगे cat family, okay, तो उसके अंदर हम लोगों को अगर few animals के, अगर lion के बारे में पढ़ेंगे या फिर हमारी normal cat के बारे में हम लोग कुछ features पढ़ लेंगे, तो हम लोगों को entire group के बारे में समझ में आ जाएगा कि किस तरीके के वो animals होते हैं. इट गिव्स आइडिया अबाउट एनिमल एवोल्यूशन, मतलब किस तरीके से वो इवॉल्व हुए हैं, पहले उनके बॉडी में क्या स्ट्रक्चर्स थे, अब वो क्या है. ठीक है, जिराफ, अर्लियर giraffes did not have such a long neck, but after evolution, evolution हुआ, उसकी वजह से उनके बॉडी में डिफरेंट स्ट्रक्चर्स, उनके शेप्स अलग हो गए. ठीक है, here you can see elephant here. Earlier they did not have such a long trunk, and they did not have such huge teeth also, but over the period of time उनकी ज़रूरतों के हिसाब से उन लोगों को लगा कि ट्रंक का इस्तेमाल ज़्यादा होने लगा, तो it kept on changing and now they are like this. Okay, animals can be easily identified with great accuracy. Okay, it helps to understand the relationship of animals with other living organisms also, कि किस तरीके से उनका relationship है. If there is a lion and a deer, if there are two animals, one is carnivorous, one is herbivorous, तो इन दोनों के बीच में relationship कैसा होगा? Will they be friendly? Will they eat each other out? Okay, so that is one thing that helps us to understand. It helps to understand the habitat of each animal and its exact role in the nature. Whether the organism is लिविंग ऑन द सॉइल, ठीक है, वो एनिमल सॉइल पे सर्वाइव करता है कि वो पानी में सर्वाइव करता है, वेदर इट लिव्स इन द एयर और इन द स्नो. इट हेल्प्स अस टू अंडरस्टैंड देयर हैबिटेट, कि कौन सी जगह पर वो रहते हैं, मिलते हैं, और उनका एग्जैक्ट रोल क्या है हमारे नेचर में. इट हेल्प्स टू अंडरस्टैंड वेरियस अडेप्टेशन शोन बाय एनिमल्स, किस तरीके से वो अडेप्ट करते हैं in that particular habitat. It helps us to understand that as well. Now here, see, you can see it helps to understand various adaptations shown by animals. Here you can see that they have got thick fur. Normally जो rabbits हमारे यहाँ पर मिलते हैं उनके पास ऐसे white color का fur नहीं होता है. They are different colors. Why? Because हमारे यहाँ पे mountains है, तो their color should match in order to camouflage in that particular region. अगर उन लोग को hide करना है तो उनके fur भी उसी तरीके के adapt हो जाते हैं, मतलब उस तरीके के बने हुए होते हैं. So here you can see in the snow, if they need to hide, they can easily hide because they have a white coated fur. Again here जो नंबर पोलार बेयर है, पोलार बेयर के भी जो फर होता है बहुत थिक होता है, ताकि उन लोगों को गर्मी मिल सके. Whereas if you see the normal bear that you see in the museum, in the zoo, you will see that it is not that thick, right? Why? Because उन लोगों को वो help करता है. It helps to understand the relationship of animals with other living organisms. It helps to understand the habitat of each animal and its exact role in the nature. It helps to understand various adaptations shown by animals. So, let's see the traditional method of animal classification. The animal kingdom has been divided into two groups, non-chordates and chordates. Kingdom Animalia has two subkingdoms. that is chordates and non-chordates. Under non-chordates comes phylum. You have 10 phylums that we'll be learning: Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidera, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminths, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata. Okay, so these are the phylum of non-chordates. Then you have chordates, where you have phylum Chordata. Under that you have Urochordata, Cephalochordata, Vertebrata, and under Vertebrata you have Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammalia. These are the class. Now see, this all we are going to study in this chapter. Okay, so these are many names and many phylums, and under that also you will be learning about each and every about every phylum. You will be learning how different they are, what are the different features that they have. In classification of plants, it was very less as compared to classification of animals. Okay, so you have to be prepared to learn these new terms that are there, like Protozoa, Porifera. You've already heard about these words, but Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminths. Now these are new words, new terms. I'll be explaining you all how to pronounce them properly, so you can also pronounce them properly. Okay, so as we go about and studying them, each and every one, I'll be explaining you all about each of them in detail. So let's continue. First we'll start with notochords, non-chordates. Okay, now non-chordates are having a different characteristics as compared to chordates. Okay, that is why they are coming under two different groups. Non-chordates are they have characters of non-chordate animals are as follows. Body is not supported by rod-like notochord. Now, notochord is a long rod-like supporting structure present on dorsal side of animal body. ठीक है, जैसे हमारे पास spinal cord होता है ना, वैसे ये होता है notochord. Okay, it is like a rod-like structure. It is not actually a spinal cord. It is rod-like structure present on the dorsal side of the animal. It keeps the nerve tissue isolated from the remaining body. ठीक है, it helps in keeping the nerve tissue isolated from the entire body. मतलब पूरी बॉडी के अंदर वो मिक्स नहीं होता. जिस तरीके से हमारा स्पाइनल कॉर्ड हेल्प करता है, like that only the notochord is helping these non-chordates. Pharyngeal slits are absent. Nerve cord, if present, it is on ventral side. It is solid and paired. Now let us understand what is dorsal and what is ventral. Dorsal means जो हमारी पीठ होती है, ठीक है, that is the dorsal side. Ventral means जहाँ पर हमारा जो जमीन की तरफ फेस करता है, हमारा चेहरा, हमारा जो abdomen है, okay, that part is considered to be ventral side. So if here in this picture you can see this insect. This insect का जो dorsal side है, जो पीठ है, वो dorsal है. जो frontal side है, जो जमीन की तरफ फेस कर रहा है, वो ventral है. Remember that way. The part which is facing towards the ground, ठीक है, that part is the ventral side, whereas the back is the dorsal side. Heart, if present, is on the dorsal side. Now you all know where is the dorsal side, right? Now these are a few examples of non-chordates. जिससे कि आप लोग ये पढ़ रहे हो characters. Now these characters are enough for us to understand कि जो irregular shape होते हैं animals के, like the snake, sea anemone, then you have the starfish or crawfish, sea urchins, then you have freshwater sponge, planaria, earthworm, centipede, crab spider, fly. These are different animals as compared to the animals that you see in the television. ठीक है, जैसे कि लायन, टाइगर, जिराफ, एलिफेंट हम लोग जो देखते हैं उससे कंपैरिजन में बहुत डिफरेंट है ना ये. दे आर वेरी टाइनी ऑल्सो, दे लिव इन अ डिफरेंट habitat and their body structure is very different from us. अगर उनको वो मरते तो उसके अंदर से खून निकलता भी नहीं है. They do not have blood in their body. Okay, instead of that they have a very different mechanism in their body. So we will be studying about them. So here, this is what is notochord. I'm trying to explain you what is a notochord. Everybody can see where is the notochord placed, right? Notochord is a long rod-like supporting structure present on dorsal side of an animal body. It keeps the nerves tissue isolated from the remaining body. Non-chordates are classified or divided into 10 phyla: Protozoa, Porifera, Coelenterata or Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthus, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, and Hemichordata. So these are the 10 names that you need to remember. Okay. And if you remember it according to the numbers that are there, it will be easier for you all to understand about how these animals are different from the other. Okay. And the spellings are also very important. Okay. You cannot make mistakes in the spellings because these are the phylums that we have in non-chordates. Whereas when we talk about phylum Chordata, chordates are these animals: the fish, the birds, the amphibians, the animals that you have walking on the land. So chordates have a very different characteristics as compared to non-chordates. Characters of chordates are as follows: body is supported by notochord. Pharyngeal slits or lungs are present for respiration. Nerve cord is present on dorsal side of body. It is hollow. हमारा जो नर्व कॉर्ड है, एवरीबडी नोज, हमारा जो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड है जिसके अंदर होल होता है, जिसके थ्रू हमारा स्पाइनल कॉर्ड के अंदर जो नर्व्स हमारी ट्रैवल करती है, ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट. इट इज hollow. Heart is present on ventral side of the body. All chordate animals are grouped together in a single phylum and the name of the phylum is same, that is phylum Chordata. This phylum has been divided into three subphyla as Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. Okay? Subphylum Vertebrata has been further divided into six classes as class Cyclostomata, class Pisces, class Amphibia, class Reptilia, class Aves and class Mammalia. Okay, these are very easy to remember also because you know about them. We have learned about amphibians, we have learned about Pisces, we have learned about reptiles, we have learned about aves, mammals, we have learned about these animals. Okay, so this will be very easier for you all to understand and very interesting to learn about non-chordates because those are new animals that we will be talking about. Okay. Levels of organization and organism complexity. First, I told you that how all living organisms are different, unicellular, multicellular. Based on that, how many cells come together to form tissues, many tissues to form a organ. Based on that, first is we're talking about is protoplasmic grade of organization, right? Protoplasmic grade of organization we're talking about is the unicellular organisms. All right. Next, you have cellular grade of organization. This is the next one. Then you have cell tissue grade of organization. Then you have tissue organ grade of organization. And the last one we will be studying is organ system grade of organization. Okay. So everything is different. Cellular grade के बारे में अगर समझ में आ रहा तो जो cells will be involved in that. Cell tissue grade है तो वहाँ पे cell और tissues involved रहेंगे. टिश्यू ऑर्गन है तो वहाँ पे जो ऑर्गन्स के अंदर टिश्यूज और ऑर्गन अलग अलग है उस हिसाब से और अलग है. The last one is organ system. Okay, there will be talking about humans. जिसके अंदर ह्यूमन के अंदर organ systems present है, right? बहुत सारे organ और system. So these are the levels of organization that we'll be learning in detail. So at present, according to the five kingdom classification system of Robert Whittaker, we have learned this in 8th standard. All multicellular animals are included in kingdom Animalia. This system of classification is based upon some criteria like body organization, body symmetry, body cavity, germinal layers, segmentations, etc. तो किस तरीके से ये एनिमल्स को क्लासिफाई किया जाता है? So there are a few criterias for new systems of classification. First criteria is grades of organization. मीन्स किस तरीके से उनकी बॉडी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड है. यू हैव लर्न अबाउट द लेवल्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इन द ह्यूमन बॉडी. जैसे कि एक सेल है, सेल से टिश्यूज बनते हैं, टिश्यूज से बहुत सारे टिश्यूज मिलके एक ऑर्गन बनता है, बहुत सारे ऑर्गन्स बन मिलकर ऑर्गन सिस्टम बनता है, बहुत सारे ऑर्गन सिस्टम्स मिलकर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म बनता है. So we have learned about that grade of organization, right? You all remember that? Based on that only, this is very simple to understand. Body of animals is made up of cells, right? In case of multicellular animals, many cells are performing different functions in their body, while in unicellular animals, as their body is made up of single cell only, all functions are performed by same cell only. Body organization of unicellular organism is referred as protoplasmic grade organization. So here you can see these two pictures. First is amoeba and the other is paramecium. These two animals are unicellular organism. They are coming under protoplasmic grade of organization because they do not have many cells. They are single celled organism or unicellular organisms, and everything that is there is being performed by the internal protoplasmic material that is there, the protoplasm or the cytoplasm which is there, that is helping them to function properly. Okay, so this type of animals, unicellular organisms, are referred as protoplasmic grade organization. The next level of organization in organism is cellular grade of organization. In this case of multicellular animals, if tissues are not formed, their body organization is called as cellular grade organization. Example is phylum Porifera. ठीक है? Aggregation of cells that are functionally differentiated. A division of labor is evident. Okay? यहाँ पर आप लोगों को अलग अलग cells काम करते हुए दिखाई देंगे. So these are called as cellular grade of organization. The third one is cell tissue grade of organization. Here aggregation of similar cells, same काम करने वाले cells, they come together into definite patterns of layers, thus becoming a tissue. ठीक है, तो पहले हम लोग ने cells के बारे में बात करें. ये थर्ड वन जो है, इसके अंदर हम लोग बहुत सारे cells टिश्यू फॉर्म कर रहे हैं और फंक्शन कर रहे हैं. So they are called as cell tissue grade of organization. The fourth one that we have is tissue organ grade of organization. Now in case of some animals, cells come together to form tissues, with the help of which all the body functions are performed, such as animals show cell tissue grade organization. Example is animals and phylum Cnidaria. Platforms show tissue organ grade organization. In this type of organization, tissues are organized to form some organs. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पर tissues इस तरीके से organize होते हैं, ऐसे same functioning tissues, they come together and they form a organ. Okay, to form some organ. However, complete organ systems are not formed. Here only organs could be seen, not organ system. मतलब बहुत सारे organs नहीं काम कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर साथ में. There are different organs present which are working in the body of the animals. Okay, so an aggregation of tissues into organ is called as tissue organ grade of organization. The fifth one, that is organ system grade of organization, as you have guessed it right, we are talking about our body. In our body you have different organs which are coming together to form a system. Okay, so organs work together to perform some function. Systems are associated with basic body functions. So this type of organization is called as organ system grade of organization. Alright, so remember your body. सबसे first case में you have learned about how the unicellular organisms which do not have any cell system in their body, they also live and they survive. Okay. Then you have different layers, different cells performing together, then the cells coming together to form tissue, tissues coming together to form organs, organs coming together to form organ system. Okay, so this way if you remember, you will remember all the 5 levels of organization. Let's see the next criteria, that is body symmetry. In imaginary sense, if any body, any animal is cut through imaginary axis of body, ठीक है, अगर एक एनिमल रखेंगे और उसको हम लोग बीच में से कट करेंगे, एक इमेजिनरी लाइन से हम लोग उसे अगर डिवाइड करने की कोशिश करते हैं, it may or it may not produce two equal halves. Okay, there are different types of animals present in on our earth, and we know that all animals are not, they cannot be divided into two equal halves. Okay, depending upon this property, there are different types of animal bodies as well. Now here you can see 3 pictures I have. One is of a sponge, one is a sea anime, the third one is a goat, right? So first you can see in case of a sponge, there is no any such imaginary axis of the body through which we can get two equal halves. Yes, हम लोग अगर इसको कोई भी लाइन से करेंगे डिवाइड, तो क्या हम लोगों को मिलेगा हाफ? नहीं. So example is amoeba, paramecium, some sponges. Next is radial symmetry. In this type of body, if imaginary line cut passes through the central axis, but any plane of body, it gives two equal halves. Example is starfish. In case of animals, there are 5 different planes passing through central axis of body through which we can get two equal halves. Okay, starfish के अंदर तो बहुत easily you all can see कि how any plane अगर हम लोग रखेंगे तो हम लोग को two equal halves मिल सकते हैं. The third one is bilateral symmetry. In this type of body, there is only one axis that we're talking about through which we can get two equal halves. Example is insects, fish, or here you can see this goat. If there is only one line through which I can get two equal halves, that is from the center here. Okay, अगर हम लोग कहीं और से भी काटेंगे तो वो क्या हम लोग को equal halves मिलेगा? नहीं. So there is only one central axis that you can see through which you can get two equal halves. Next criteria is germ layers, or in that you have diploblastic and triploblastic. In case of multicellular animals, germ layers are formed during initial period of their embryonic development, and from those germ layers only different tissues are formed in the body. In case of some animals, only two germ layers, that is endoderm and ectoderm, are formed. Example, all cnidarians. In most of all the remaining animals, three germ layers are formed, that is mesoderm, besides endoderm and ectoderm. Okay, so here you can see this picture where you can see endoderm, ectoderm, the dead layer, and the mesoderm. Okay, so when you are talking about multicellular animals, there are different layers that are there performing various during the initial period of the embryonic development, and from those germ layers only different tissues are formed in the body. हमारी body के अंदर tissues इसी से बनते हैं. All right, so I hope this is also clear. Diploblastic and triploblastic is also clear. Next we have is body cavity. The cavity between the body and the internal organ is called as body cavity. Now हमारी जो skeleton है, skeleton से बिल्कुल टच होकर हमारे internal organs नहीं है, ठीक है, बीच में एक cavity होती है, space होती है. In case of multicellular animals, during initial period of their embryonic development, मतलब जब हमारी body से form हो रही है inside the womb of the mother or inside the egg, if there is, talking about other animals, body cavity is formed from either mesoderm or gut. Such type of body cavity is present in animals of phylum Annelida and all phyla coming after Annelida. Such animals are called as eucolimate, animals with through body cavity. Body cavity is absent in case of animals from phyla Porifera, Cnidaria, and Platyhelminthes. Such animals are called as columate. In case of animals from phylum Aschelminthus, they have body cavity, but it is not formed by the above mentioned. Alright, so here you can see eucolymates, pseudocolymates, and acolymates. In all of them, you can see the difference, proper difference you can see between the body cavity, how they have the different body cavities, how they you can see properly, and pseudocolymates you can see. Okay, so I hope this is also clear. बॉडी कैविटी के हिसाब से भी एनिमल्स को क्लासिफाई किया जाता है. Last you have is body segmentation. In the body of animals, if the body of animal is divided into small similar units, then such body is called as segmented body, and each small unit is called as a segment. So here in this earthworm, if you see that there are small lines that are there all over the body. Now this lines are actually called as a this is called as a segmented body. और ये हर लाइन के बीच का जो पोर्शन है, those small unit are called as segments. Example is animals like earthworm from phylum Annelida. Here you can see clearly how these segments are, and this entire segmented body of this organism. Now you have learned up till here the kingdom Animalia, which is multicellular organisms without cell wall. Then in that what are the criterias? Body organization, that is cellular grade, tissue organ system grade, cellular the body organization. Then we learned about body symmetry, asymmetrical body, radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Okay, if you divide the body through a imaginary axis, will their body get divided into two parts, into two equal halves or not? Okay, how? That way body symmetry is also clear. Next I've explained you all about body cavity as well, acylomate, then pseudocolymate and eucolymate. Then after that, phylum. We'll be learning about the phylum in the next coming period. Okay, I hope this much is clear to all of you. In the next coming period, we'll be learning something new and interesting. We haven't completed the chapter yet. We are still left. We have just completed the introduction part of the chapter, how the classification is done and what are the criterias on which the classification is done. Okay. In the next video, we'll be talking about the phylums of non-chordates. Okay. So up till then, thank you.
If you like our session, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can share and view the videos that we had today for you. And please do not forget to hit the bell icon so that you remain updated with all the latest videos that we'll be making for our dear students. This session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.